I was born by the river in a little tent. And just like the river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm not afraid to die. Though I don't know what's out there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. I go to the movies and I go downtown. Somebody keep telling me don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Then I go to my brother and I say, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me back on my knees. Whoa, there have been times that I thought I couldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. That is my mantra for this discussion, ladies and gentlemen, viewers and subscribers. This is my desire that a change will come. And although it is my desire for a change to come, I have recognized over the years through my experience that I must take an active part in bringing about that change. I must be on the road, on the ground, getting my hands dirty to bring about that change. Because the only way for change to actually take effect, if there is actually some action behind the desire to change, there must be an intent, desire, and a purposeful action to bring about change. As you already know, we are living in very difficult times, and it seems as though it is getting even more difficult by the hour, by the minute, by the day. Just recently, we witnessed the brutal rape and murder of Kanice Jackson. I did a video, no vocals, just a video of what I would do if I was a Christian. And that video was uploaded at the time of this recording I'm doing now. That video was uploaded previously, like a few hours before this one. So it is now time to ask ourselves a question. What do we do, or where do we go from here? We can clearly see that there is a group of men, not only in Jamaica, as I'll soon show you, that are persistent in bringing harm, injury, and even death to our women and at times children. I don't know if it is the food that we're eating. I don't know if it is the things that we are watching. I don't know if it is just a season. Whatever it is, a change is gonna come. And I want to be a part of that change. I want to say that I am sick and downright tired and fed up and disgusted, to say the least, by the things that are happening in our country, let alone in our world. I have sisters, I have a wife, I have a mother. And regardless of the fact of me having such, what happened to Canis hurts the same way as though it was my sister. I can't turn a blind eye. I can't pretend that I didn't see it or it's not affecting me, because it is affecting me. And I'm trying to be formal, but there might be times where the little ghetto part of me come out. Keeping it real. Where do we go from here? In the previous video, I was basically showing you that it is the typical answer to situations like these, wherein persons are hoping for better, and the mechanism, or the method in which they exercise that hope for betterment is through prayer. And in the video, I basically demonstrated that the typical Christian would pray a prayer of mercy on the wrongdoer. But I created my version of a David prayer, Psalm 109, and illustrated in that prayer how I would pray if I were a Christian for someone who committed such heinous act of violence on any human being, but in this instance it was Canis Jackson. I further went on to say that if David, who was said to be a man after God's own heart, could pray the prayer he prayed in Psalm 109 according to the Bible, what says me, somebody who's so where do we go? What is our next step? So this is what the discussion will be about. The steps are some suggestions, which I'm pretty sure some of them might already have been implemented. Excuse me. However, I just want to show that there are some things that we seem to consistently do, but not realizing that it's not working. Let us look back at a situation where or then Minister of Security, Dr. Peter Bunting, says that he was speaking at the Northern Caribbean University on Saturday. Bunting, who appeared close to tears, said he was convinced that the best efforts of the security forces by itself will not solve the crime problem in Jamaica, but it is going to take divine intervention, touching the hearts of a wide cross section of the society. And he also went further by saying that I am not embarrassed, excuse me, to say rather that right now, as Minister of National Security, I am going through a kind of dark night of the soul. This is April 2013. Just last year, our now Prime Minister said, Jamaicans are people of faith who believe strongly in the power of worship. Right? He said, we see religion and faith as very important tools in our daily lives, and we can utilize our faith to solve national problems. However, it has been approximately 510 years of praying. 510 years. And this is going back to 1512 when Christianity was first introduced to this island, Jamaica. Now, let me pause here to say that I am not, and I'm going to say this slowly, I am not against persons practicing their religious beliefs. I am not against Christians, Muslims. I'm not against any religious group. I might not subscribe to any. But what I want us to understand and to understand clearly is that I do not believe that after 510 years of praying that this is the practical approach to solving the issues at hand. Even though both leaders of the country from both sides of the democratic parties vented their views or their opinions regarding this subject, I am of a different opinion. And it is not because I don't believe that prayer cannot do things or prayer cannot help situations, but in truth, what I do think is missing from that picture is that one should not pray for things that are necessity. Like, for example, the preservation of life. One should not have to pray for a life like Canis Jackson to be spared. And so when I'm not going to spend the entire discussion speaking to that, I just wanted to let you know that what next is there? That is the question. What next is there? It was Albert Einstein that says insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So we have tried prayer. We have tried prayer breakfast. Government has done that on many occasions. And we are seeing that the crime rate in Jamaica is waxing worse and worse. That people even going into churches now and killing pastors or killing a brother or a woman, as in the case recently, when the woman while in prayer was killed. shot and dead. And so we can say, if we are honest with ourselves, that there is something missing. Prayer alone won't do. As a matter of fact, it will require far more than prayer to bring about the change we are yearning for. And this is my opinion, of course, but I do think that it is not simply just wishful thinking, the things that I'm saying. It is based on certain amount of facts and practicality. Remember this young lady, Jasmine Dean? It says here that the young woman who is in her first year at the university is visually impaired. She was last seen on Thursday, February 27 in Papine, St. Andrew, wearing a white blouse and blue jeans. During a virtual press conference on Wednesday, Anderson said investigators have not left the matter as a cold case, but are conducting further probing. And this is from December 2020. Jasmine is still missing. There are countless others. There are countless homes right now in Jamaica alone, not even going to the rest of the world. But we'll be getting there shortly. There are countless people who are now having to live with the reality of having lost their loved ones. And they prayed, and they cried, and they agonized with God. And the situation did not change. Where do we go from here is the question. So I did some research, and I have realized that there are some countries who are, for want of a better word, better at keeping their house in order, so to speak, than others. So in other words, some countries are managing their citizens and their population as it relates to crime and violence in a far greater way. And there are a lot of strings attached to this circumstance and to this condition or to this situation. But let us look at specifically the punishment for rape victims in certain places in the world. Let's take, for example, here, India. In India, you have the perpetrator will get life imprisonment, and it even can lead to death, a death sentence. And I want us to make note of each time I go through a slide and you see how many times death is the punishment for a crime such as this. Now, the population of India as of at 2019 was 1.3 billion. It says here that the culprits are liable to life imprisonment and even the death sentence in the rarest of rare cases. So India has maximum punishment is death for rape. Pakistan, death sentence. Gang rape, child molestation, and rape are punishable by death. China, death sentence or castration. The sentence for rape in China is death. Castration is also used in some cases. Japan, 20 years to life. 20 years to life for the crime of rape. If it is rape or fatal rape at the scene of any other crime like robbery, then death penalty. Saudi Arabia, beheading within days. The punishment for rape in Saudi Arabia is a public beheading after administering the rapist with a sedative. William Generous. North Korea, death by firing squad. Death by firing squad. Afghanistan, shot in the head or hanged to death. Now in Jamaica we had a law for hanging. But back then, probably when I was a child, probably when I was still on my mom's breast. Not even that exists anymore for men like those who killed Canis. Not even that exists. It says that rapists in Afghanistan are shot in the head within 4 days or hanged to death, depending on the judgment handed down by the court. Egypt, death by hanging. They're saying that it's slightly outdated and thing, but it is what it is. Iran, hanged to death. Rapists in Iran are sentenced to death, sometimes by hanging, but sometimes allegedly also by stoning. So it is being alleged that they also can stone them to death. USA, imprisonment for life. In cases under federal law, the punishments can range from a few years to imprisonment for eternity, entirety rather, of the rapist's lifespan. Russia, rapists in Russia get 3 to 20 years. Right? And they say the jail term can go up to more than 10 years, depending on the situation. Israel, 16 years to life. If someone is convicted of raping a woman, he is liable to be sentenced to 16 years in prison. France, 15 years to life. I do apologize. Don't know what's happening to my throat. So it says here that French hands out 15 years sentences for rape, which can be extended to 30 or life, depending on the extent of damage and brutality. Norway, 4 to 15 years. Any kind of sexual behavior without consent falls under the category of rape in Norway, and the perpetrator can be thrown in jail for a period of 4 to 15 years, depending on how heinous the crime was. And here we are, Jamaica, 7 to 10 years. It says here, if a person attempts to commit rape and at the time of the attempt he was armed with a dangerous weapon, he may be imprisoned for 10 years. Now, 56% of the countries I just called have their punishment being death for rape. I think that is a telltale sign of how severe or how serious they take this act of violence and cruelty. I would want Jamaica to follow suit in this regard. Open up the death penalty. Send a strong message, as I have seen some of the social media celebrities and entertainers voicing their opinions and their utter disgust regarding this tragic incident. So I would want Jamaica to follow suit. Now, according to the Jamaica Constabulary Force, this is a report, serious crimes report for January 1 to March 2021, and comparative period to 2020. You can see here that we have, I'm particularly looking at the rape cases. So in Kingston Central, last year it was 9, now it is down to 3. This this Kingston Eastern here is 7. That changed. Kingston West. Do apologize, I don't know what's happening to my throat. Kingston Western 3 and 4. St. Andrews Central 13 and 2. St. Andrews North 10 and 8. St. Andrews South 12 and 8. St. Catherine North 13 and 14. St. Catherine South 9 and 4. St. James 9 and 5. Trelawney 3 and 1. Westmoreland 12 and 4. Hanover 7 and 2. None for St. Mary this year so far. That is good. St. Anne 5 and no increase. Portland 4 and 2. Manchester 2 and 3. Clarendon 12 and 3. St. Elizabeth 11 and 3. St. Thomas 9 and 4, and these are the grand totals. So you can see clearly that so far this year it's pretty much coming close to this figure here, and so we can see that the rape cases are climbing, and we are not yet at basically just a few months. Well, which month we in now? Just March. A few months in, and this is a tally already. So you can see clearly that there is a great increase coming. Now, there are some countries that we consider to be safe, and here's a list of them based on Forbes 2020. You have Switzerland, Japan, Czech Republic, Singapore, Canada, Denmark, Australia, Portugal, New Zealand, and Iceland. There are more, but these are the 10 that was listed. But what makes a country safe? Let us look at Japan, for example, which has a religious population that consists of the religious groups you see on the screen, 70% of which is Shintoism or Shaitoism. Can't even pronounce the word properly. So, as of 2017, the Japan has been among the lowest regarding their homicide rates, and at that time Jamaica was racing with El Salvador. My gosh, in the opposite direction. So these are some of the things children are taught, the differences between what is morally right and wrong, and I'm not saying that's not happening here in Jamaica, of course. But what also is happening here in Jamaica is that there is a informal must dead mentality. There is a strong praising of violence and a bashing of what a gentleman is. You know, I've listened to even some women who, in a documentary or a interview, they are saying that if their men don't beat them, then they don't think he loves them. And so we see the mentality here that women, even the women, some of them want men that are abusive. I don't know how that works, but this is what I've heard from women here in Jamaica. And so the moral values that should exist in a child, you know, kindness, fairness, respect, loyalty, the things you see in there. A youth growing up like that in the ghetto can be seen as soft, especially by his peers, especially by some some young little men, other men that are a little bit older than him, or even sometimes some grayback man who should know better. Yo, my youth, I want to my ear going like you soft, my youth, and so the mentality is that the man, in order to be a man, you must be aggressive and you must be forceful and you must, you must behave like you're one gangster, you're bad, or the mentality in itself is that yo, me a thug, me a dog, yo, wow, tion, that type of thing. Wherein, if you're talking like oh, I'm speaking now as a man, you might be judged as queer in some places, not in all places, in some places. And this is a part of the issue. But here in Japan, they instill these principles and these moral virtues and values inside their children from a young age. They have a crime prevention plan, and they go about doing this by looking for the least expected situations, basically, that their country can be a crime-free society where citizens and visitors can feel safe. They have something in place to help at any time to mitigate against crime. They have security for the buildings that they operate. The presence they have there with security personnel at business places and banks, parking lots, shopping centers. So the security is basically, in a Jamaican terms, it turn up in Japan. So they are always on the lookout for unscrupulous activities. They have a low rate of gun crime, right? They if you're caught, as it is stated here, if you're caught in Japan with a knife or any offensive weapon, you receive a custodial sentence, which basically means them go basically lock you down same time, either imprison you or basically put it under some form of rehabilitation situation. But anyway, you take it, even if you're a knife, you can find yourself behind bars in Japan. They have a zero tolerance to drugs in their society, they don't take lightly this thing. They have this thing where if you have been caught using drugs, you have to make a public apology along with other things. Of course, you do your time and all of that good stuff, but you also have to make a public apology to the citizens. And they see that as you have to earn respect from your people by the life you live there. You understand? For the drinking and driving situation over there, they say that, well then, if you go for an alcoholic drink and then you need to leave your car at home, and if you do happen to have your car with you, there is an option for getting both you and your car home safely and legally by calling a deco, and that's something similar to a taxi or something like that. So they are very serious in trying to have safety being the atmosphere, a continuous atmosphere in their country. So the man go and him drink and him drunk, him not driving that car home. They have somebody waiting to escort him home, to take him home, or to take her home, or whatever the situation might be. They have strategically placed police posts. So all across Japan, you have places, sometimes in the larger cities that, and even the smaller cities that basically have what they call a neighborhood lookout, a koban. And these places, they are small stations, usually no bigger than, as you see on the screen, than a single room, and contain a little more than a desk and some chairs. So they have these things set up because they're taking, as I said, their crime prevention, their safety measures are first, are paramount, are at the forefront, are the primary, one of the primary things they invest their time and resources into, to ensure that things don't get out of hand and things don't go unsolved. They have safe neighborhood, and this is because even in their business settings they have convenience stores that have projects, homes, I should say, homes or houses, right? So somebody's always looking out over the business because of the situation. They have people always there to see what's going on, and that is a good thing. Even though, as I said here, is that it might be noisy sometime, right? But you have people looking out, so it creates a safe atmosphere, safe environment. Now, Frederick Douglass said, I prayed for freedom for 20 years, but received no answer until I prayed with my legs. And as I quickly bring the curtains down on this quick talk, I am still saying and still asking, where do we go from here? I think we can start by trying to find ways to empower our people, especially the most vulnerable, like our women and children. Empower them to let them feel confident and that they have control. And the one way the government can do that is to encourage and institute some self-empowerment strategies, like self-defense training. And again, basically, not just for women and children, but especially for them, because they are the most vulnerable in our society. And you'll see here that there are petitions all over the world, as you're seeing here on screen, for the very same thing that we're discussing now. People are asking this to be a part of the curriculum at schools for their female counterparts. They are experiencing, this is a petition that at the time of this recording, when I took this snapshot, it was at that figure. So you can see clearly that this is not just a local issue, it is a worldwide issue in some places in the world that are prone to crime and violence against women and children, and of course in general. Here's another one, change.org, another petition making self-defense a mandatory thing. I think this is one of the things we can do in Jamaica. Here's a situation where a petition started. Let me just read this. A petition started by friends of a murdered school girl calling for self-defense classes to be part of the curriculum has reached 10,000 signatures. Thomas Griffiths, 18, stabbed Ellie Gould, 17, to death at her home in Kalin, Wiltshire, then arranged the scene to make it appear as though his ex-girlfriend had inflicted the fatal wound herself. Here's another situation where they're asking for self-defense to be made a part of the school syllabus. Um, let's see if I can point to something in this. I think there was something I wanted to read here. So Neha Shrimal, who said her concerns about child sexual abuse and rape provoked her to take up the cause. Shrimal had started a Change.org petition for an initiative which received support from nearly 1.3 I think 1,000 or something like users. Another thing we can do is that we research and implement the tested and proven crime fighting strategies like face recognition and biometrics, fingerprints and eye scanner, all of that thing. We need to have some tighter security measures put upon us, not because that's what I particularly want, but because we don't know some of them on them aren't cool. You understand? Them aren't cool and them callous and them, you know, I don't know what them have a beating in them chest, if a heart or a stone. So this can work, you know, this can, of course, the government of Jamaica, I believe to some degree, are doing their best. That's a subjective word. Best is relative to the circumstances under which you have been given the resources to work with. So in my opinion, I think they are doing some things, are taking some steps, but it needs to be a little bit more aggressive to fighting crime. Too much talk of this COVID, but less talk of the crime solutions and the things that we need to be focusing on in order to help us to see a better Jamaica, a change in the way we treat our women and children, the change in the way which we punish these culprits, these criminals. That also has to change, because I think it is a little bit too soft, for want of a better word. And so I'm basically at the end, and this is just maybe I have a third part, I don't know yet. I'm trying not to make my videos too long, but maybe I have a third part. But what I wanted you to get from this is that there are things out there that can be implemented. One of them we just mentioned, let it be an instituted thing for the country of Jamaica, like the other places in the world who are seeking to petition to make self-defense a part of the school curriculum. So that means for me that your daughter or your son will have a little bit more confidence, and they are no more just a victim to unscrupulous men who want to take advantage of them. And it goes for older folks too, who I would want it to even expand beyond just the school curriculum to a nationwide curriculum where you come in and you just as though you have certain things to know. You know, you have your tax number, your tax ID, your TRA number, so to speak. You have something. When you come in, you get a screening, and you know it is set up between both government and private entities to fund these self-defense training courses or classes to help prepare any citizen, any individual who want to be a part of it, so long as they are law-abiding citizens, that they can take part in this activity. I think it is an initiative that would at least say, well, the hunter can sometimes become the hunted, because they prey on the weak and the vulnerable and the least expected. But when everyone, or when most of the population are trained or have some idea of self-defense in their mind and are not afraid to use it if needs be, then you find that No criminal and no gunman really wants to go to his death. He wants to go and accomplish his task and go on to do our next one. But when we have something like this instituted along with the other things that I discussed earlier, the biometrics and the face scanning and all of that stuff. A lot of other things out there, but I'm just saying that let's start with self-defense. No, let us start with self-defense and see where it takes us. Let us give every child, every woman an opportunity at least. Let's start with them then, the opportunity, because not everybody can afford to take private self-defense classes. Not everybody is in that state, you know. Do the working out. Those who sit in the high places can do the working out and see if this suggestion idea makes sense. It's been an idea that has been on my mind for some time now, and I'm just bringing it to the public. But I'm really tired, and I'm fed up, and I'm distraught. And if I had the power, I would wipe out every one last one of these men from the face of the earth if I had the power. No joke. But we can't do it alone. We need real men to stand up and fight the good fight to protect our women. We need to be the change we want to see in the world, and that is the only way change is gonna come. But until next time, if you liked what I said, if anything resonated, if it works for you, just please, if you're not yet subscribed, you can subscribe, you can like and share the video, and just remember, and in all things, let knowledge be your path to true freedom. Until next time, peace.